Okay. Well, I know we're going to be live because we always are, but we don't know it for a few seconds while it connects. So I'm just double checking that we're on Instagram. But we are talking about the 24/7 hustle culture today. For anyone that's tuning in. So let's just have a quick look, make sure that we are live because my go live button isn't working. There it is. And yep, we should be live.
Oh, yes, we are. Hello.
Yeah. So today in the VA Live Lounge, we are going to be talking about the fact that you don't have to hustle 24/7 and finding a pace that feels good for you. And I think this is really relevant to any business owner, whether you're a VA or not. Hustle culture, especially because of social media, is massive, and I'm just kind of done with it. I just feel like we are constantly under pressure to always be on, always chasing the next client, always saying yes to everything, working in evenings, weekends, just to keep up. But I want people to go into 2026 building a business that isn't going to burn them out. Do you feel that pressure of hustle culture?
Absolutely. And I honestly do. And I think, to be fair, I think the last month I really have felt it. I don't know whether it's time of the year. I don't know if the people that we support are feeling the pinch. I don't know what it is, but I do feel like it's ramped up so much at the moment. And I do kind of feel like there's constantly, I don't take breaks during the day anyway. I'm terrible at taking breaks, and that's really bad for me to do that. So take breaks when you need to. But I do feel like everybody wants everything. And the problem is as VAs, and because we're kind of governed by the amount of clients we've got in terms of income, you do find yourself saying yes when you should really be saying no. And as human beings, you do find it difficult to say no to people. And actually, I said to you the other day, my new thing for 2026 is going to be no.
Yeah,
it has to be, because even yesterday, I had massive issues with my computer yesterday. And I think it's because I felt the pressure with clients, pressure with work, getting everything done and all that. And I just broke down because I did, and I don't do that very often. It's normally when I speak to you that it's because somebody that you love, isn't it? And they go, "You're all right." You go, "No, I'm not." And I just burnt out. And I think it's difficult to say no, isn't it?
I think that was a really good point you just made, that actually we're saying yes out of desperation when we should be saying no. And the risk of that is what happened to you yesterday. I mean, I've made no secret of the year I've had, and this year I had a very serious mental breakdown, and it really was, I think, majorly caused by burnout. I just had enough, and part of that is that freaking hustle culture. And just like you, I now say no to people. This morning I have had 2 conversations over email with people saying no, really. And one of them was a client that has come on board working with one of our associates, but really had these expectations that are just unrealistic, which are results driven expectations. I'm not seeing results from social media. Well, we're not digital marketeers, and even a digital marketing company wouldn't guarantee you results, because to guarantee someone results, if anyone out there is doing that, it's not true. There's so many factors in working with anybody, whether you're a business coach or whatever. You as the client have to hold up your end of the bargain. You have to be responsive. There's market fluctuations. There's all sorts of things. So it's ridiculous to work with a VA and expect them to transform your business. And so an email to her this morning, because I'm going to be taking over some of her hours, is absolutely fine working with you, but I'm not going to be able to guarantee you results. And if that's what you want, you need to go somewhere else. And then I'm doing some project work for somebody where I am transferring their website from one to another, which should have been, quite a simple, just copy what they'd done before. Only it's been a disaster, it hasn't been. And I've had to tell her this morning that your time has run out and you're going to have to add more time. And, old me would have been like, oh no, I'll just best crack on with it. And I think VAs feel like that because they're so scared of where's the next a bit of money coming from, where's the next client coming from. But I do feel there's I've learned a lot this last year about positive energy and affirmations, and I'm by no means a spiritual person in that sense. However, I have found that when I change my mindset and I'm strongly passionate about what I'm not willing to accept, that kind of thing, the right people come to me. And I do think that if we keep putting ourselves out there as desperate and we're going to accept toxic relationships and toxic clients, or we're going to say yes to everything, we will keep getting people like that cross our path. You know, what would you agree with that?
I do absolutely agree, and I think I do very much, you know, like you've just said, if a client's run out of time, it's okay, I'll just quickly do that. I'm not going to do that. I can't, because all I'm doing is just kind of giving off the wrong vibe, or I've done it before, so I'll do it again. And you know, it's a good opportunity. 2026 is coming to change the way, to change your mindset, not to be like that, because you're right, we'll end up attracting the wrong people. And I think it is difficult to say no to people. It really is. And I had to have an awkward conversation with a client this week because I made a massive balls up previously, which we spoke about last week. Actually, he was absolutely fine. He was like, my bad, didn't realise. But I was so worried to have that conversation with him because I'd ballsed up. But, you know, and I'm very much personally, if I have made a mistake, I'll say, I've made a mistake, I'm really sorry, I'll put it right. But it is very difficult to say no. And I think changing your mindset of, well, actually, I'm working for free. If a client's run out of time, you need to tell them that, because that, you know, they need to top up their time. You're working for free, essentially.
And I think part of why we end up hustling and we feel like we're constantly hustling is because we are doing things like that. And one of the conversations we had this week is we're not taking on 5-hour clients anymore. You know, it's just not happening. And one of the reasons I don't want to do that anymore is I do feel like I've served my time, I've helped these people. There's loads of VAs out there that can do that, but I don't want to anymore, because without being disrespectful, the kind of clients that are going to pay for 5 hours aren't my ideal client anymore anyway, because I need clients that have got more money in the bank, let's be honest. And the other thing is, a lot of people on 5 hours expect the world. They expect so much. And if you keep on looking at, in this example we're giving about hustle culture, if I keep on taking on clients at 5 hours, I'll constantly hustling for another client because I'm just filling up my time with these tiny little 5-hour clients. But if I, you know, spend my time taking on 10, 15, 20-hour clients, there's a lot less hustle to be doing anyway. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. And I think you're right in terms of like 5-hour clients. I think a lot of people, when they go, oh yeah, I'll just do a 5-hour package, they don't realise that equates to 15 minutes a day. And we had this conversation the other day, and I said to you, what you realistically, by the time you've started the timer, by the time you've gone into their account, by the time you've gone into their emails, by the time that 15 minutes goes. And invariably you don't go 15 minutes, stop, next one. You don't do that, because you can't get much done in 15 minutes unless you're doing real basic admin, inbox management, tidying up, you know, I don't know, maybe loading some invoices into Xero or whatever. Realistically, clients don't realise that equates to 15 minutes a day.
It's nothing. No, it's nothing. And not actually this project work, which now I would not do anymore. I've done a few this year because we've been in a shitty situation, but I wouldn't do it again now. Like, not my quotes going out to people now are they're in the thousands, not the hundreds anymore. And this is a 5-hour client who, you know, really realistically, I'm rebuilding the entire website, and it's just ridiculous. And the thing is, when you quote that time and you accept that, you then feel like you have to do it because you set the stall out. But I did say to this client, you know, I think this is going to be more like a 10-hour project, but I'll see what I can do in the 5 hours because of her budget. But I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I think part of the reason any small business owner feels this pressure of, oh my God, I've got to hustle more, is what they're seeing on social media. There are so many like 10K months, and I talk about 10K months, but I'm always open. That's not profit. It's turnover, right? Yeah. And people are falling for this all the time. VA mentors and VA coaches that are offering you the world. And look what this VA has achieved over here. I'm going to tell you now, right, the truth. The truth is, we are inside business owners' businesses all the time. We talk to people, business owners, all the time. And every one of them is lying. They are hustling and they're making out that they're bigger than they really are. They've got more money than they've really got. And I've yet to meet a single business owner, this is the God's honest truth, that I actually believe have got what they're marketing themselves as having, this success. And even like, I delivered a blueprint to a client this week who realistically should have no problem with the quote I gave them, and ends that with, I've got to try and find the money. And you're thinking, there's something not right here then, isn't there? There's something, you're showing the world on the outside that you're doing really well and you've got all this success, but it's not real. And I don't think that's fair, and it's a lot of pressure. And it's one of the reasons I talk more openly about my struggles and the realities of things on this show and on my socials, like this year having to take out a loan to pay the team. Let's get real for a second. It's not that easy.
You're absolutely right. It's quite funny, actually, that you mentioned that about, people sending you messages. I had one yesterday on LinkedIn. I won't mention the name, but it was from a VA mentor, and it was quite a similar thing. Like, why aren't you earning, 20K a month or whatever? And it's like, well, why aren't I? And that pressure then goes, well, why aren't I earning that? I need to up my game a little bit more. And I think particularly as well, this time of the year, where everyone's bills are going up, Christmas is here, and everything seems to be more expensive. I mean, I said to you last week, I did finally finish my Christmas shopping. It was just over £1,000 for presents alone. And I think when you get messages like that, you almost feel like, am I failing? Like, why am I not earning that kind of money a month? And you're right. People don't go, that's turnover. That's not profit. Yeah. That's not 10K sitting in your back, 10K sitting in your bank. That's turnover.
100%. And actually, in our industry as VAs, it's going to be really hard to earn 20K months, 10K months as a solo VA anyway. You'd have to be working with elite clients to be able to command that kind of money, or working, like, not sleeping. So
you just couldn't. There is not enough hours in the day or days in the week to earn that kind of money. They're just
not without additional revenue streams and doing other things. It's the same as these people on TikTok, like these digital marketeers that are selling freaking ultimate branding courses, they're master resale right courses. It's so ridiculous that they're saying to people, look, I've given up my job and I've done this and I've fuck off, right? Because it's not freaking true. Like, it's bullshit. Because I sell courses and it's a struggle for me, let alone, and they're ones I've created myself. Like, it just isn't real, honest to God. And I was so infuriated yesterday. There was a woman and she started her post on TikTok with, am I being scammed? So you naturally listen, don't you then? Am I being scammed? Somebody contacted me and they said, they just get, all they have to do is join this Facebook group and they get paid every month. She said, then I joined the Facebook group and oh my God, I get paid every month. And then I looked at her little, what her username was, and it's one of these digital marketeers, never freaking done marketing in their life. And I'm like, but you're missing out all of the bits in between, the work you have to do, the money you have to pay, the constant having to show up on TikTok every single minute of the day to build your audience, to be able to go live. Let's talk about the real work that goes into some of these things. But I think one of the things you touched on there was finances. Predominantly, VAs are women, and there are male VAs as well, of course. But I think for a lot of us, there's these external pressures as well, like having families, having children. Perhaps you might have a disability or other additional needs that are also in the way. And so you've got all of these external pressures on top of feeling like everyone else is doing better than me. And that's really difficult. And then you try and go networking because someone says, networking is really important. So I'm going to go to this networking event. And, you ought to also be, doing this over here. And so by the time you've done all of these things, you've got no time to actually work on your business. And that makes you feel really guilty.
It does. And I think, we very often have this conversation about, when we are finished with work, you then have your kids, the washing, the ironing, the shopping, the dogs, and all of that stuff. And I think as well, when you're working as particularly for me as a solo VA, you have to factor all of that in, and that's just personal pressure. But that does come into your working day and your working week, doesn't it? So you're getting pressure and hustle from both sides, trying to balance everything. It's really quite difficult. We're very intelligent people.
I know. So have you ever felt like you're not doing enough, even when you're exhausted?
Yeah, every day. Every single day. By the end of the day, I just think, what have I actually achieved today? Like, right, tomorrow I always say to myself, right, tomorrow I'm going to get up at 5, I'll be ready by 6, have a shower, whatever, have my coffee, get ready, I'll start work at 7, I'll do the school run, I come back, I'm already ready, I'll get crack on, and then I look at the clock and I get, sort of 7 o'clock, and I'm like, shit. Right. And I look at my list, so I make a list of every client's got a certain colour pen, so I know what who that client is. And I look and I go, I've still got 100 things to do, and I sit there and I go, what else can I do to make it better? Like, what else can I do to, get more done, or please the clients? I've got a client at the moment who's just ghosted me. Don't know what's going on. It's not quite worrying because it's quite a high-paying client, and I'm just getting nothing. So I keep on messaging and keep on doing this, that, and the other, and I'm just getting nothing. And that then makes me think, shit, what have I done? Have I done something? Have I not done something? So there's, what I'm like, the worries and added pressure.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. I think it's about the thing is, one of the things I wish I'd done at the start, but I have done it now, like in reverse, is work out what you want your life to look like before you start the business. And it's not too late. So I've got my Earn More, Work Less challenge for VAs starting on Monday, and every day we guide them through the things they need to do to get to not this place that we're in now, or you're in now. And the first day we look at your ultimate work-life balance. What would your dream schedule be? And that is setting your stall out, and you can go back and do this. It's harder. I have managed to do it, and I have to say, I mean, this week alone, I have sat back and thought, wow, I don't really have to work that hard, in the sense, I'll come back to why, but what we look at is what would a dream day look like to you? And it shouldn't just be a dream, it should be your reality. So that might be, I want to start at this time, I want to finish at this time, but in the day, there's certain things I want to do. I want to be able to go to the gym. I want to be able to go and pick my children up from school. So we map out all of that first. By doing that, by mapping that out first, you get a realistic view of how many hours you've got available to work for clients each day. And then when you look at that, you can then say, okay, well, this is how much I'm currently charging. If I times how much I'm currently charging by those hours, will I ever reach my dream income? Most of the time, the answer is no, because you didn't work this out first. And then what happens is you end up giving up a little bit more of your day to get more money instead of raising your prices, which is what we chatted about last week. And it's all about this fear, the fear of not getting clients, the fear of losing clients, but you're not creating a business for you then, you're creating it for everyone else. I mean, one of the things that what I said I'll come back to is, I didn't want to work with clients anymore. I wanted to work as managing the business. And so I have very slowly over time got rid of the clients. Now, some of that's happened naturally because of my mental state this year, and they've just pissed off. And some of it, but it would have been very tempting for me, especially because I'll be honest with you, our agency's been in the crapper. Because we had to VAT register, amazing success, but that success has come with a lot of problems. And so it would have been very tempting for me to take on clients again, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to go backwards. Even with that external pressure, even with that hustle culture, and I'm seeing what everyone's doing out there, I thought, no, I can't do it. So we've gone down a very different avenue. We've pivoted into online business management and strategy. And so now I always say you've got to steer the course. You've got to believe in yourself. So whilst it's very tempting for me to be able to take on clients again and have some money coming in, because I haven't paid myself for 2 months, I'm not doing that, because I believe passionately if I do, I'm just going to go backwards. So I'm holding my energy open to move forwards. I think that's quite a difficult, brave thing to do for lots of VAs, but I do think you have to develop that mindset of I am worth more. And now I've moved my personal rate to £85 per hour, which was at £50 per hour, well, 45. So that's like double. And, our strategic blueprints, I put the prices up last week, £750, someone signed up straight away. Because that's what happens when you make that shift. So what do you think stops you saying, do you know what, I'm worth more, I'm raising my rates, this is what I'm going to do next, this is what I'm not going to accept? Why, even when we have these conversations, Does that fear still stay, or are you making a change for next year?
I am making a change for next year, because I think I think this week particularly has proven that I am on that road of burnout, because, you know, I very rarely give up and go, this is just ridiculous. And I did that yesterday. I just sat here with everything else included, you know, and I think when you know you're on that route, so for me, I'm changing it. I'm changing the way I work. And like you, I made the fatal mistake of being available all the time. That was a massive mistake. And it's difficult when you've made that mistake to then undo that mistake, because, you know, there are times where, you know, I have a couple of clients that are ad hoc, and, you know, some of them can't speak to me during the week because they're so busy. So I do sometimes do calls on a Saturday morning, which I'm not doing anymore. And there's times when it's a beautiful day today. We've had the most crap weather in Devon. And I sat here and I thought, do you know what? I'd love to take the dogs down to the beach. That's something I'm going to do every day from 2026. I'm not going to be at my computer at 7 o'clock at night, checking my WhatsApps before I go to sleep, checking my WhatsApps at 5:45 in the morning. I'm just not doing that, because, you know, I swore when I was made redundant, which was a horrendous time for me mentally and for my family and everything, because I gave it my all. I was at work in middle of the night, flipping early hours of the morning, weekend, bank holidays. And I swore then that I'm making a decision to work for myself, because I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be given 100, you know, all and everything, all 24 hours of the day. Mm-hmm. And I've made that mistake again. So, you know, I'm very much, 2026 is like, that's the time for me to change everything, you know, personally, work-wise. I'm just not going to be at my computer, available, working whenever people. And also, I think for me, if I have my laptop downstairs, I'll just pop on, but I don't have the timer on my laptop, so I don't press the clock. So I'm working for free. Not only am I working in the middle of the night, I'm working for free.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to do, but you have to
I'm
do
really
it.
glad to hear that, and you sound really passionate about it as well. And I think it's because you're recognizing the signs. I mean, if I think back this year to where that flipped for me, I just got to a point where I became really anxious, and I didn't want to open emails anymore. This was the first real big sign. Like, I had no motivation, and I just didn't want to look at my emails. I was scared every time the phone rang. And I think the minute you get into that point, something really needs to change. Something is really wrong. And actually, in some ways, I'm glad I've gone through that, because now I know what I'm not willing to accept. But like this year, we've just opened a physical shop, like a co-working business. And even though I'm in this shop, this physical place that people can walk into, I lock the door. So we put a door system on that anyone who's pre-booked gets a key fob or a key code. But anyone else, I put a sign on the door. I brought this before we even opened, with a clock that you can move the dials on, and it says I'll be back at this time, with a little note to ring our ring doorbell if they need us. And I go out and I walk the dog. And, you know, before I had an office that it was out in the middle of nowhere, really, and it didn't have anywhere you could really go. So you could come outside and walk around, and I never went for a walk. And I kept saying to my husband, I need to be back in our town, and I want to be walking the dog twice a day. And now I love that I've got that freedom, even with a physical business, to just get up and go walk the dog whenever I feel like it. And that is truly creating a business that's built around you, and not you building yourself around that business.
You're absolutely right. And just to touch on that, what you said about frightened to open emails and stuff like that, I've never felt so anxious as I do today. I was panicking so much yesterday. I couldn't, for the life of me, I was terrified to open WhatsApp messages last night, because I know that all of my clients communicate via WhatsApp. Yeah. And I was just terrified of opening, because I thought, you know what, when I get back into my emails, someone's going to needed me, blah, blah, blah. And it's all that kind of, again, pressure. The pressure was on, you know, and I very rarely get to a point where I, you know, break down like that. But that's when I know that I've got to do something to change it, because I wanted to do this for me and for my family, and to be here when Amy gets home from school and all that kind of thing. But actually, it's becoming more of a barrel around my neck than enjoyment. You know, I sort of like look at things, and things I used to really love doing, I hate doing it now, can't be bothered. You know, and I'm starting to lose that energy. So I think when you've got that pressure on you, you kind of, it doesn't infuse my energy. It withdraws my energy.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of pressures anyway with running a business. Like you've just said, it's not just all of these have got to get clients. It's the accounts that you've got to do, and it's all the admin for your own business, all the marketing. There's so many other pressures that you just don't need additional ones on top. But talking about energy, like you just said, I think it's important to redefine what success looks like. It's not all about money. Success to me is going to be very different to what success is to you. And success can be more energy, like you've just said. It could be that you've got more freedom in your life. It could be that you work less hours or less days. In fact, Alison, who's one of our associate VAs, she did the challenge last time, and she actually made a comment on there that a few days ago, that when she did the challenge, it opened her eyes and made her realise that she didn't want to work Fridays anymore. And that's amazing. Like, I used to not work Thursdays, and I used to look forward to that day. It was a business day. And I think the beauty of running your own business is you get to create it the way you want to create it. And if you're not doing that because you are being led by clients, you're an employee. So
You're absolutely right. And I think as well, just touching on that client point, because you are driven by obviously by your income, but if you're taking on more and more and more and more and more clients, you'll start to make mistakes. And I have made mistakes this week. I have made mistakes, and I've said I made a mistake and I've put it right and everything else. But because you're so, concerned about your income all the time, you put in more and more pressure on yourself to bring more and more clients in. But actually, all you're doing is increasing your workload. You're doing a 50% worth of a job because you're not. I barely go outside during the week. I barely leave this house. I get in the car, I do the school run, I come home, and that's it. I don't leave the house. I sit in this office with the stinky guinea pigs.
yeah.
Going, where am I going now? So I think it is really important to have made this. You are a small business, but you have to make that business work for you. Otherwise, you may as well be employed.
Exactly, 100%. I think it's about reframing like what success looks like. One of the things is you can grow slowly. You don't have to be in a race to be, because what is that when you're watching people on socials and they seem to be doing really, really, really well, and then you're like kind of racing to catch up? Well, what are you catching up to? What is it? Do you know how many clients they've got? Is it 30? Is it 50? Why don't you? It's probably none. Just take your time, grow slowly, do deeper work, have more intentional choices. These are strengths, they're not weaknesses. And actually, it's like now we're pivoting, and so we're now working with clients in a very different way. We're not doing the traditional VA work anymore. We are doing managed VA work, and it means I can charge more. And so actually, it means I'll work less. So there's going to be less work, but more income. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? If you've got like a particular skill set, for example, that's going to be high value, charge high rates for it and do less work. It is about creating, a business that works for you, but not just that, what success looks like for you. And for me, success for me when I started, I wasn't really clear about that. It probably was lots of money, but I'm also not money driven, so I couldn't really put a figure on it. Now, success for me is having the freedom I've got now. I love being able to just, my day is mine. I mean, a few months ago, I had all of these pressures of all of these clients and panicking when I wasn't delivering the work on time. And then it spirals then, doesn't it? Because like the next day, you're then dreading the emails. I really don't work with clients. I don't have any clients now, but I'm just currently doing project work for clients. And I say now it's not a long-term relationship. I don't want to work with clients long-term anymore. And even just doing some of this project work, I'm already feeling that pressure. So for me, success is managing a business and not working in it. And I might not earn as much at the moment, but I have more freedom, and that's what success is for me right now. What would you say what you thought success was when you started and what it actually is? Has that vision changed, or have you just not got there yet but you're intending to?
I think it's very difficult, isn't it? Because you're naturally drawn to a high income to be a success as human beings. Doesn't matter whether you're a VA, a train driver, or sweeping the streets. Your income is what you see as being a successful person. But it's difficult for me to make a comment about that, like, because at the moment I'm really not enjoying it. And I'm just going to be, you know, we're very open and honest when we talk on here. It's not, I haven't for about a month really not enjoyed doing what I'm doing. And there has been times when I've sat and questioned it and thought, I'm really not that happy doing this. I don't know why or whatever. And I think, so for me at the moment, it's difficult for me to say how I would view success. I thought probably 2-3 months ago, I'm doing great. I've got lovely clients. You know, I'm doing really well. I've got a nice income, got a nice family, all that. Now I'm like, no, I don't. So for me, being a success isn't really in my vision at the moment.
What do you think's changed then from how you felt a few months ago to now?
It's you know, I have thought about this, and I've thought, what is it? I don't know if it's because I'm taking on too much, or you know, it's really hard to pinpoint what actually is. I don't know. It's because I've made a mistake and I've got low confidence, and you know, when my confidence is low, it's very difficult for me to get out of that. And you know, again, just being completely open and honest. And I think it's really valuable information for VAs out there, that if you are feeling like that, like, just stop, take some time out, talk to somebody, you know, because if you just carry on, you're just going to end up spiraling out of control. And you know, and you'll end up just making more and more mistakes. So for me, I want to be back where I was, you know, 3 months ago, where I was really cracking on, get up in the morning, you know, coming in, doing the work, having lovely clients, all that kind of thing, having a nice income, to rather than dragging myself in here, not really bothering, sitting here thinking, shit, what am I going to do? Where am I going to start? You know, it's that overwhelmingness of pressure constantly deliver, I think. And I think that's, as a solo VA, we do end up getting into that spiral, because you are in an office on your own. You don't have Johnny in the corner going, Johnny, oh God, this has happened, blah, blah. So it's difficult, not when you get into that kind of situation, to get out of it so easily.
I think there's a lot in there about mindset as well. We did talk on this show about what's one of the most important things you need as a VA when you get started. It isn't a website, it's a mindset coach. It's really changing. You've got to be so strong-minded to do this job. Like you just said, you're expected to deliver results all the time. That's not like getting people more money. It's results like you've made them happy, the clients, at the end of the day. But I do also believe that what we just said is true. I know you personally, and there's lots of external factors, your personal life, that also impacts the way you're feeling. And that is part of the problem, like how you separate that, how you compartmentalize personal life, business life, so that you're not getting frustrated in the business when actually there's more probably coming from the personal aspect of your life, and vice versa. So that's why the balance is so important. That's why redefining your schedule and making sure you stick to it and putting boundaries in place is what's important. And I would be saying to you, you know, over the Christmas period, I know you told me it was going to work, please don't. Take that time to get a fresh, lovely planner. I'll give you my ultimate work-life balance planner. Work out when you come back in the new year what you want your life to look like. And if that's going to be, I start at 8 in the morning because I'm going to go walk my dogs first thing, then that's what you do. And then if it's I'm having a break in the middle of the day, so I'm not eating lunch at my desk, that's what you do. And I do that with intention now. And that's the point. You've got to do it intentionally. And I do all of these things. I have it all planned out on a schedule planner, and I go, oh, it's time to go walk the dog now, or oh, it's time to go and have my lunch now. And I don't do that at my desk anymore, because that's not going to make me happy. It's going to make me feel under constant pressure. So sometimes we're putting pressures on ourselves. They're not always coming from what we're seeing online. And in your case, some of these pressures are not real anyway. It's like a fear of what you think the clients are going to say, or what you think they're going to feel, and most of the time what we fear it never comes true. So you know, that's why that mindset approach is so important. But it's also why being really strong-minded is important. So you're going to set out your new routine. You're going to say to your clients, you know what, this is what I'm working now, this is what I'm doing, and I won't be available after these hours, and making sure they absolutely know. And if we come back to that discussion we had about And actually, there's a VA that uses this space, and she's talking about telling her clients they have to work by the day. And I just think it's brilliant, because this is what I started to do with clients. I started to say, actually, these are your times and this is your day. Because having a client, let's say 5 hours, like we've just said, on 15 minutes, and maybe in your little world, you've said that's on a Monday at 9 till 9:15, on a Tuesday it's 10 till 10:15. That client doesn't know that. You've done that work. They haven't given you anything. You've gone past. You're now on, client X. And then they've come to you and said, oh, can you do this? But you haven't got any more time in your day for them, because their time passed. Why I do think it's worth being really open. And I know you say, oh, yeah, but I've got some clients that they need it now, or they need this. I kind of think it's tough.
It is kind of tough, but I think, see, for me, I don't do that. I don't do it's 9 o'clock, it's this. Generally, I do you first, because it's lovely working with you, and I've done it for so long. I can do it without really thinking about it. But I don't have specific set slots, so I just have a list with all my different kind of clients on there. And I just go, right, who do I fancy working with at the moment? So I don't necessarily have such a structured day, which does really work for some people, but generally doesn't work for me. So I kind of, if I've got something I really don't want to do, I kind of leave it to the end of the day. But I'm not doing that. That's not how I'm going to do it anymore. I'm going to be on the school run at 8 o'clock. Then I'm taking the dogs for a walk till 9 o'clock. I'll come home. I'm starting at 10 o'clock.
Good.
I'm literally, and I'm going to block out, I've started to block out my diary. So I've blocked out 11 till 12 every single Thursday.
Yeah.
Just because. Didn't do it for any other reason. Just did it because. So I'm not starting work until 10 o'clock. I'm not opening my WhatsApp until 10 o'clock. I'm not checking my emails until 10 o'clock. And I'll be finishing at 4 o'clock. And if anybody doesn't like it, they can go fuck themselves.
Exactly. But just tell your clients that, write them a note out, make sure they know. And as long as they know, you know what I mean? It's like, it's fine. Nobody can argue with you then. I think it's when you get scared, excuse me, and you don't tell the clients. So you do, because otherwise then you're still having this fear like, oh yeah, but they don't know. And you're having this internal battle that they don't know you're having with, well, they've messaged me at 9 and I'm not answering until 10, but they don't know. So you just make sure you're telling them, and at least now I know.
Absolutely. Yes, no, yeah. But what my plan is to send an email to say, because do you know why? Because yesterday, it's going to make me upset now. Yesterday scared the life out of me.
Because of how bad you felt.
Yeah, it generally did. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to email all my clients to say, these are now my working hours. I won't be checking emails. I won't be checking WhatsApp messages until the next day. I get it. Some are ad hoc, but you know what? If that doesn't work for them, I'm really sorry. I'm not the right person for you.
Exactly.
Because I was in such a bad way yesterday that I just went, you cannot do this anymore. Not, I don't want to. You cannot, because it's just affecting me in all other areas. And so that's what I'm doing in 2026.
Amazing. And you're right. If a client doesn't respect that, they're not the right client for you. And that's the end of the story. Right. And you know why? Why it doesn't matter. It's your bloody business. You can do what you like. And going forward, you won't take on clients that go, oh, that doesn't work for me. You'll just say, oh, sorry, I can recommend you someone else then. And the current clients you've got will understand. I think one of them, who's probably the client that just put stuff on you last minute, are leaving anyway. So this is a great time to tell them that, because they've already told you they're going elsewhere. So I do think that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think, what time do I don't start work for clients realistically till about 10 anyway, because I come down, I set loads of time for business stuff. So I spend more of my day working on the business than I do anything else. So anything else doesn't happen till about 10, because I walk the dog first. And then technically I can finish earlier, but I don't, because I'm a man this shop, so I might as well just carry on. But yeah, I do. And I'm not going to be, I had a conversation with a client who was kind of bitching about somebody they've been working with who aren't very responsive, and all they want to do is pop a pay-as-you-go couple of hours on the account. You're not going to get responsiveness then, are you? So we've got to be stronger at setting the expectations of these clients and telling them, and they will thank us for it. They really will. We're not giving them the opportunity. We're assuming every client's going to kick off. They're not.
And do you know what? And if they do kick off again, you know, before, even 2-3 weeks ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, I can't say that because I don't want to upset them. It's going to affect my income. It literally, my best advice to anybody listening to this, don't play that game. Don't play that game, because the only person that's suffering is you.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think once you've set these new boundaries, you have to stick to them. I think it's also important to set buffers in your day as well. So like if you know you're going to have a regular weekly check-in with the client, making sure that you've got time after that call to do things, to write out notes and things like that. It's not replying to those messages after hours so that they get the message that you're not going to be responding. I mean, I sent a voice note to a client before I wrapped up yesterday. They sent me about 20 after that. I answer them. I'm not reading them. I read them this morning. And then I think it's making sure you've got the right systems in place. So CRM, where you can do repetitive tasks on automation, scheduling your socials, all of that kind of stuff to just really manage your time. And then it's looking at your services. We talked about this last week. What are you charging, and can you charge more? I mean, in this challenge, that's what it's all about, is earn more, work less. So if by raising your rates, you can afford to work less, you can package your offers so you've got more predictable income. You know, we talk about this all the time, like, oh, it drives me mad, the amount of VAs that still charge by the hour and say, well, at the end of the month, I'll bill you for how many hours you used. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't protect your time, because you never know how many hours you're giving to someone, and you can't then sell your time to someone else because you're reserving it for this person. And it doesn't give you predictable income. And that's why packaging, you know, your services up into a bundle of hours is better, and you can charge up front. By the way, if anyone's listening, have got any questions, you want to make any comments, then do that now before we finish, and we'll gladly answer them. So I do think that's really important, but it's also important to be monitoring your energy as well throughout the day. So what's happening to your energy? Where are you losing it? Where are you getting drained? Like you just made a comment and said, because you don't have this structured routine, you put the tasks you don't like at the end and probably don't get to them sometimes. And sometimes there's a saying, isn't that, eat the frog? You just get it out the way and get it done. And so, you know, it's looking at that and going, maybe doing the Eisenhower matrix, the do, don't, delete, delegate. Well, what do I need to be doing? What's time critical? What have I got to do? What don't I need to do? What can just be freaking pissed off this list and gone? Because it's been on my list for 6 years and I never got round to it anyway. Just get rid of it. What can you delegate? Because VAs can have VAs. I've got you. So what can you delegate, and what can you just, you know? So it's do, don't, delete, delegate. Delete the ones you don't need. The ones you need, you've got to do. They are critical, but they're not critical. Only you can do them. You don't need to do them now. They go in your don't column. Use these kind of tools. They are really, really good at helping you, you know, navigate what's important and what isn't. I mean, I have actually in my calendar, because I'm moving into the coaching space for VAs, I've got coaching hours. I haven't got any coaching clients yet, but they're there.
They're there,
and they're staying there. And I'm not doing any, I'm not going to go, oh, but I could be working with a client. No. If I do that, I don't believe in myself then. They're staying there because I will get those coaching clients.
You know, that's why I've booked that time out in my calendar. I don't do anything. I've just booked it there. Every day I get an email to say, reminder, blah, blah, it's blocked out. And I'm like, oh, I've got that spare out. I've got a spare. It's really interesting, actually. I work with this lady. She's in finance, and she's dreamy. She's so lovely. She's really kind. And she sends me voice notes all the time saying, God, I'm so sorry I've not spoken to you. I feel really bad. And she said to me at the beginning of the week, she sent me a voice note. She went, don't tell anybody, but I've blocked out some time in my calendar this week just for me. So, right? So you kind of look at, so it is other people. Don't think you're sitting there on your own thinking, my God, I've got, because there are other, you know, people in different industries, business owners in different industries that don't have any time. Just block time out. Just block an hour out. Who's going to know?
If you've got a calendar link and anyone can book a call in your diary, you would be, book a call in your own diary. You would be on that call. So what difference does it make? I always say, you know, when you get clients that just haven't got the time. If they've got a calendar link, just book a call in their diary. Like, they'd have to do that for someone else. So there's no excuse not to make the time for you, and for you yourself. Do it for yourself as well. Absolutely,
100%. Absolutely.
I think thinking about like what I've done this year to make business feel easier for me, one of the best things I've done is, and actually I didn't think this was going to happen, by opening the co-working space, I'm forced to stop working. And I thought this was going to be difficult because I hated it when I was working in the house and the kids would come in or my husband would come in and interrupt me, and it's so hard to get back into a flow state. But actually it was normally because I wanted something. But when I work in the shop, I'll stop and have little conversations with the people, and they're super interesting with the people I've met, or I'll go and make a cup of coffee, or I might have to stop for something. And actually it's made me more productive, because what was happening before was I was sitting all day without moving from my desk, and I was getting really, really mentally exhausted, and then wasn't able to carry out the jobs I thought I really wanted to do and I was passionate about. And I thought it was all because I was just, having so much work on my plate. But it wasn't real. It wasn't because I had so much work on my plate. It was because I wasn't taking those little breaks. And actually, by having those mini conversations, going for a cup of tea, walking the dog, I now am more productive. It sounds really odd, because actually I'm taking less time to do the work, but I end up doing more quality work because I'm not as exhausted.
Do you know, you are 100% right. I tell you for why, right? Because I think it was Saturday. I worked on Saturday, and I know you told me not to, but I did last Saturday, right? And in the evening, right, and I go on my bank probably about 3 or 4 times a day, particularly at the moment, money's coming out left, right, and centre. God knows what's going on, email or Christmas and that. I sat there on Saturday, pre-wine, I had. I couldn't for the life of me remember my passcode for my bank, right? Because I'd been so intensely involved in work during the day, and my brain was so exhausted that I couldn't remember that. I sat there going, I don't know what it is. I couldn't remember because I was so mentally exhausted from sitting here. You're right. I do go downstairs, get something to eat, and I come back up here. And I sit here and I go, oh, and I just go, oh, and I put. So sitting in front of, and I do that. I can sit here for 9-10 hours a day and not move. The only time I move is to go for a wee, and that's it.
Yeah. It's not healthy. It's not. That's before we even talk about things like ergonomics and your posture and all of that things, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Plus the guinea pigs stink.
I can't believe I didn't know they were in the bedroom with you. I think red flags to look out for is if you're feeling, like I said, constantly exhausted. I was constantly exhausted. You're feeling resentful of your clients, and you have these mini little battles with them. Well, what makes you think I'm going to answer the, and they don't even know, working evenings, weekends, because you're panicking. And one of the biggest ones is what you're going through right now, and that's not enjoying your business anymore. What would you say are any red flags I haven't mentioned?
I think the getting up in the morning and just not being asked to come in, sometimes not bothering to get dressed. Yesterday I didn't put any makeup on, which is a massive no for me, because I actually had a call with somebody yesterday, only a VA. But I think having that energy to come into the office and be like, right, come on, let's, I'm doing this today. Don't have that, and that for me is a big thing. The walking away, shutting everything down and walking away again. Because it's fight or flight, isn't it? And at the moment, I'm flighting, I'm not fighting. So I think that's a really big one to look out for.
That's quite psychological, isn't it? Because before, my computer was permanently on, and I ended up, I had a MacBook and I wore the battery out on it, and I had to buy a new one. I swore when I bought this new one, I'd always close the tabs and turn it off. And that never happened until we opened this shop. And now, because I have this structured routine, and I realise I thrive on routine, now I have to close the shop. As part of that, I close down all the tabs and I turn my computer off, and then I go upstairs as if I've finished work and gone back home for the day. And it's so it's cathartic. It's a lovely feeling to be able to do that.
Do you know what one of our she actually in the morning leaves the house, walks around the park as if she's walking to work. That's what she does. What she does in the morning, every single day, she walks around as if she's walking to work. And she said it sets her mindset off that she's not at home, she's actually at work.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I never thought of anything like that. But I guarantee you need to help hold me accountable to my new routine in 2026.
I will be, and so will our audience as well. They'll have to check in when we come back in January. I want to ask you, so it might seem like a silly question because we already know the answer from how open you've been today. But if nothing changed, if your business, your business stayed exactly the same all year to the point you're at now, at the end of this year, how are you feeling? Content or exhausted?
Exhausted.
So you know things have to change.
Absolutely. And it's like I say, yesterday was huge for me. And I think it was quite big for my partner as well, because he was like, what's wrong? Something's not, you know, and I'd been through something like this before when I was employed, you know, and so I know that not that I don't want to, that I cannot carry on like this, because it's having a massive downward spiral for me.
Well, you have to see the way I was this year and know you don't want to go down that route. And you've got to be protecting yourself and having that mindset. So not just when you're angry and you're fed up and that's it, because you won't feel like that in a few days' time, in a few weeks' time. It's remembering how you feel now and taking that there with you.
Yeah.
And I just want anyone listening to remember that you can set a pace that suits you, not the Instagram world. You know, set a pace that's for you. It doesn't matter what the rest of the world is doing, and that your business should support your life. It shouldn't consume your life. And if that's what's happening, something is really, really wrong. And I know that building a business is really difficult because, you know, you do have to work hard, really hard to build a successful business. But actually, what are you trying to build? And is it this big fancy business, or is it just a lifestyle choice for you? Because if it is, you should be listening to all of that hustle anyway. Because I mean, for me, it's different. I am trying to build a agency, a business. It's a bit different than being a solo VA. So I do need to build something that I want to sell one day. But if that's not what you're trying to do, why are you listening to that external noise anyway?
That's the thing, isn't it? And you know, so I say, I had that one through LinkedIn this morning, and it's bullshit. It's all crap. Oh, we're making 50 grand a month, blah, blah, all that crap. Why aren't you doing? That's my favorite one. Why aren't you where we are? Yeah. Bull crap. You know, you just think, you know, you chose to do this for you, not for anybody else. And I think it's really difficult to be blinded by that kind of thing, because it does put the pressure on to make you feel like you've got to go at 100 miles an hour. But speaking from experience, I've done this for 5 years next year, and it's honestly not worth it. You may as well be employed if you want that pressure, that hustle, all the crap that comes with it. It's just not worth it.
No, it's not. You don't win a medal for burnout. Do you know what I mean? So
no,
I think you're right. I really appreciate you've been so open and honest about your journey today. And I think that's really important for people listening to this, that they might be feeling the same way and it's time to do something differently. Your business, it's for whatever you want it to be. No one can take that away from you. No one can dictate what your business is to you. And if they are, and that's how you're feeling, you are being an employee. So it's having that positive mindset, creating that dream schedule. If anyone listening wants to join the challenge, the link's in the bio for next week. It's having that, right, this is the way I'm going to work, and I'm not going to make any negotiations past that. There's going to be, these are my what I always call it, what do I call it now? My what's the word? You're non-negotiables, but I always say these are the fixed things you're not going to move, and they are important to you. And I'm telling you now, burnout's a real thing. You're starting to feel it. I've been through it. I've come out the other side, but I've come out the other side with a very different business, and that's the thing. And so if burnout was something you could just bounce back from, you'd go back into the same business, but it isn't. Yeah. So you just have to change forever.
You're absolutely right, and there's no point just changing it for a week or so, because, and do you know, it's really funny actually, because yesterday I actually sat here and went, I'm burning out. I openly said, and it's, don't be afraid to say it. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, you know, and I'll talk honestly and openly to anybody. So if anybody is feeling like that, please get in touch and talk to us. It's fine. You know, it's just, there's a way out. You just got to get there.
It's true, and that's why having a community is so important. We probably should talk about this more in the More Than a VA community. If you're listening, we do have a free community. Again, the link's in the bio. You get to be in a private community group. I think we've got about 175 people in there at the moment, and you can just chat about this. And maybe we should start a little, burnout channel on there where people can just be open with one another about how they're feeling and not suffer in silence. And no one should feel like that. So,
no, you're right. And I think actually talking like we have done today, I've actually feel a bit better because I've talked about it. So, I don't really have that much around me at the moment. Obviously, I've got my family and that, but they don't really get it. So, being able to talk to somebody, it has really helped. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I think it's been really heartfelt, interesting episode today, and I'll put this back on the grid. If anyone's only just joined, we are finishing now, but we talked today all about that 24/7 hustle culture and setting a pace that suits you. And Kirsty's been quite open about her struggles today. I've talked already about the struggles I've been through this year, and this is what can happen to you if you get swallowed up in that hustle culture. So I'll put this back on the grid. Listen back. It will also be repurposed next week, as always, as a podcast. I say that I'm probably about 4 episodes behind in publishing podcast, so maybe it will be in about 4 weeks. But please head on to the VA Live Lounge on Spotify and Apple, wherever you listen, and please subscribe, follow us. We show up every week. We're not getting paid for this. We're here to help you, and that helps us stay around. And next week we'll be back Friday at 10 o'clock. It's our last one of season 2, and then we'll be having a break for the Christmas period. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you